Let me get the chat open. Put the chat over here. I'm going to put the QA answers over here. All right, good. Now we're good. And I will promote William Clemens. Perfect. Were there any pre-submitted questions, Sabrina?
There were not.
Oh, okay. Ooh, welcome everybody to another Lunch and Learn. If you have any questions, feel free to post them in the chat or in the QA and answer section, and I'll answer it. And if it's simple enough, I can demonstrate it, or we can have a conversation about it. But anyway, post any of your questions you have in those avenues. So we got one question. It says SAML Login Flow says that it only allows synchronous steps. Also, it has relay state, which could be used as redirect URL along with SAML response. How can I redirect users using relay state on a SAML Login Flow type? Let's see. I'm gonna put my screen up here. Let's go to my local. I'm gonna have to install. I'm gonna install the SAML module so I have that. Let's find out. Because I don't know the answer to that question. All right, we're gonna go to my apps, go to App Store, let's go to modules. We're gonna go grab SAML. I know it's here somewhere. I think this is alphabet. It is alphabetized. Slack, Solace, SSH. Ooh, SAML. Okay. And then while that's loading, I'm going to access another browser. Excuse me. All right, so now, perfect, it's installed. So now I'm gonna, actually, I can use this, one of these flows. Actually, no, I can't. I gotta create the flow behavior. Duh. All right, so we're gonna go to advanced, and we're gonna go to SAML. Or is it a login flow? It looks like are you using a login user flow or a login UI flow? I don't see a SAML. We're using SSO. Okay. I don't see any flow behaviors for SSO. So it sounds like what you're doing is, are you using like a login flow? It sounds like you're using like a login user flow type. I'm gonna say login user flow. Or what system are you trying to connect to? Environment, let's choose. I gotta, let's see, SAML response, enable. I gotta add a provider. This is gonna be fun because I don't have an actual setup for this. The shading, fetch metadata from URL, read metadata from file. Yeah, but still, like, so I see that you have to enable the settings, but like, but what are you trying to accomplish with this? Because if you're trying to do a single SSO login, if I scroll down, once I enable this, I don't see it. We'll just create some blank data. Also, certificate is required. Let me create one. Haha. I'll create my own certificate. All right, cool. So you're talking about this flow right here. The one that the system-wide one uses? So SAML Login Flow says that it only allows synchronous steps. Also, it has a relay which could be used as a redirect URL. Along with some response, how can I redirect users using relay state on a SAML Login Flow type? Sure. Yes. Where do we go? All right. Yes, enlighten me. I need to learn. So I'm not sure what we're trying to do.
Hey, can you go up? Actually, not this one, not this flow. Oh, close it. Scroll down. Login flow, run flow on each login checkbox. Yep, that one. Yeah.
SAML Login Flow test.
So if you view flow data on start step,
You want to look at the data explorer? You want to see this stuff?
yeah, that should be that relay state. So basically, the way it works on Okta, when you define and say, "Hey, there is my decisions, and there is a assertion consumer," so you send data there, then SAML authenticates you, and what happens next? So this relay state basically can say. So in our case, we have two applications that are under the same department, but they are slightly different. So we can use that if they use the same Okta and they go to the same decisions instance, they will go to the first application. But there is a case when one person could have permissions to both kind of applications.
Oh, so you're trying to do like
use
multiple, you want multiple people like to be able to use multiple different Oktas or something like that?
No,
multiple SSOs?
it's the same. So on the Okta side, it's the same Okta connecting to the same assertion consumer on decision side. But in some cases, because there are two applications basically, with this relay state, we can say after assertion consumer authenticates me, then check this relay state, and then I can redirect inside of decisions. But this flow will not allow you to do that because end form session doesn't work. Forms doesn't work. Nothing works here. I have even tried to create a database entity. And if somebody logs in and that relay state is not empty, update that entity with the login. And then on update, get an event that says redirect me to a folder. Didn't work. I can catch that and I can see that that event was raised, but redirection didn't work. I have no idea how to use that. I know that if you're on the latest version, if you go to SAML settings,
I just want to see if I get that error. I just want to see that error.
and also
Synchronous.
I've tried another trick. I've tried to catch exception. It will raise exception, but after exception, you cannot redirect. You cannot use an form session. And not because that end form session does not work after exception. It's just because of the flow behavior. So you cannot use it in subflow.
Yeah, no, that makes sense because it's still going to read it here. Yeah, no, I mean, based on that, it maybe sound like a DT that you have to submit to the support team.
Yeah, but if you're on the latest version, if you go back to the settings, SAML, and if you scroll up here, hold on, just after certificate.
Just after.
Yeah. Real estate behavior. See that? Drop down. After certificate. It says ignore real estate in the drop down at the bottom.
Sorry, mic issues. So you said after the state, where were we at?
At the bottom, the last drop down.
Yeah, so
right
ignore
there.
single.
Yeah, yes. So this real estate behavior is something new.
Yes.
And I hope that after we update, this will work. So you can
Possibly.
specify. Yeah.
What type of your? Yeah, I mean that would definitely help you. It sounds like it'll help your issue if you're on an older version. I don't really have an SSO environment to really test this stuff though.
Yeah, sure. But this setting, so we don't have that setting, but we have that parameter inside of the that flow, just like
Yeah,
you
no, I
have.
saw the relay state. Yeah, no, I saw that part. Yeah, so basically, I think that the best thing would be like, I know I'm running. We just released 8.13, so you can see if your company will allow you to download 8.13. That should help you be able to utilize that.
I can see it on my local, and I guess it's like either 12 or 11. So I can see that setting.
Okay. Yeah. Then probably be testing on the local, but that would be kind of hard because I think in the SSO environment, your local doesn't have network access because it just loops back. So that's why you'd have to create some type of company resource that is network capable and then test it that way.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, sorry I couldn't be much help, but because it's SSO and stuff like that's always like a unique thing where it's not always simple.
Okay. Thanks. Hey, Jared.
Yes.
Yeah, I can see your comment, but I think it's not being triggered in our case. So basically what happens is that it's just being redirected to the default page.
Yeah, and I think and that's what the comments are talking about. It's like there may be some additional settings that need to be added into the Okta on the Okta side. At least that was from what I found.
We,
I was scouring it up.
so we have done,
Spreads.
yeah, we have done everything on Okta side. So basically, we did this relay state, and I can catch it inside of decisions. It's just not triggering redirection. So it goes, and after assertion consumer authenticates and gets SAML response, it has
Sure.
additional thing called relay state. So it's being passed to decisions. I can log it in decisions, but it's just not working.
It's not passing in the state.
It is in the state. So
Yeah,
I can catch
but
the
my
URL.
question is my question is the value is not passing in the state.
Yeah.
Okay, so the value all comes through. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
So
then
I
your primary difficulty is just that you can't use the certain steps that you need to use.
Yeah, and I think with this new setting, relay state on SAML settings, it could work. So basically, it should say if it's not empty, then redirect here no matter what. So for example, if I synchronize my Okta groups with the decisions groups, and that decisions group says my default page is in this folder page blah blah blah, but relay state should override that anyway. Because a person could be
and that's the part that seems that doesn't make sense to me because relay state is completely controlled by the ID period Okta. Decisions just displays a value whatever it sends to that.
right.
So if the question is that that's not being passed into decisions, then that's an Okta side. If the other part is that I can't use the certain steps that I need because of the synchronous nature of that flow type, then that's a decisions thing.
It's being passed to decisions, but for example, on like I do synchronize accounts and groups from Okta to decisions, and let's say one person can be in two different groups for application A and application B. When they log in, how do I know where to place them? And
So you want
know.
them. So you want them to. So you're trying to say that they go to different dashboards or locations on the decisions portal.
Yeah. So for example,
Why
I
don't you
would
just
say,
do that through user groups?
But so if one user in two groups for application A and application B, how do I know which one they're coming from? And this where real estate comes into an action. I will say, oh, if this real estate says I'm coming from application A, now I know where to place them. Otherwise, how would I know if
So you try to create the account. So it's on the,
No, I'm not trying to.
account.
I'm not trying to create
So you sync from Okta into decisions. They both have the same groups. Is that correct? Is that a correct statement?
Mhm.
Okay. So then I know in decisions you can go through the groups folder and you can say, hey, pick default folder for this group.
Yep.
And then when they log in, it goes to that unique section of the decisions portal.
Mhm.
So that seems to resolve this issue.
Yeah, but
because then you don't need to
let's say-
determine which one is in which group because decisions already does that. And since the groups are the same in both environments, you just say, hey, default folder. I don't know, like loan dashboard.
But let's say you as like Jared has like a Okta page, and you have some roles in application A. Like you're a just a user for application A, but you're an admin for application B. And you log in. It goes through the Okta assertion consumer. On decision side, it looks like you're coming from one place. It doesn't matter if you're trying to log into the application A or application B. Then in decisions, I can go and query Okta and say, which groups do you have? And then you will say, okay, I'm a user in application A and admin in application B. How do I know in decisions where to place you? And really state will tell me where you're coming from. So I can create a rule and say, oh, if Jared is coming from the application B, then I need to place him into application B folder as an admin.
You're talking about
If
custom applications on the Okta side, so you create like a custom app on a single sign-on or something like that.
Yeah, but because they are talking to the same instance of decisions, they will have the same endpoint, which is a certain consumer.
Yeah.
That's going to be the same. So I have no idea where you're coming from, and I can use really state to identify where you're coming from.
But you have an AD sync between the. Do you have an Active Directory sync between the groups?
I do not, just because of the amount of groups that we have, but instead I'm doing that logic on each login. So if you log in, and the reason to that is that we would like to control it on Okta side. So for example, if somebody decides and removes you from manager from application B, next time you log in, I will try to check if you're a manager in decisions in the respective group and remove you from manager from that group as well. This makes sense?
Yeah, I think I kind of, it seems like though that then it's making extra work. It seems like it'd be easier if you just do an Active Directory sync, just select the groups you want because you don't need to grab all of them. And then you don't have to do this weird way to know who's part of which group. You can do that default decisions, run a query, use a database relation.
Yeah, I got you. But the problem here is that everything needs to be controlled from Okta side. So for example, tomorrow you come in as Jared, but you have been added to different Okta group that is not in decisions, then I need to check your groups because you on each login, and I will see that you're in another group, and I will, if that group does not exist in decisions, I will create that. If it is existent in decisions, I will add you to that group. So kind of like almost live check. If we synchronize, that job will be running on a schedule, probably one time a day, and it will.
That's going to be
huge,
easier. That sounds like it's more complicated.
It's going to be a huge job because we have like 10,000 groups and try to check everybody. It's gonna run for a couple hours, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. That's why I say it seems like AD would be your best bet because then you just pick the groups you want. I don't know. That's just my
But
suggestion.
No, we're not using ID. We use Okta and Okta groups.
Oh, you don't have an Active Directory environment? I thought you just said you did earlier.
Oh no.
Oh, okay. Then I misunderstood.
So I'd like to see if there is a specific reason that we cannot use like an end form session, because that would resolve that issue.
That you'd have to you'd have to open a support ticket and see if we can get a dev on that. That I don't know. I think that's just the default flow behavior for that. So any change to that would be like a feature request.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna end it there. So thank you so much for attending. Tomorrow we have Venetia. She's one of our pre-sales engineering team members. If you have any questions, she'll be a great person to ask. But I'll see you guys around next time.